I am Teah Woodward at Stamp with Teah. I'm located in Richland, Washington, in the United States, and I am just thrilled to be here today to demonstrate a card using the Timeless Arrangements bundle that is in the new 2023 through 2024 annual catalog. Now, this bundle is photopolymer stamps and has these lovely, lovely dies. And look at all of there's 26 stamps in here, and there's all these sentiments that can be mixed and matched. My card is a simple thank you card today because I need lots and lots of those. So these are the dies. I have pre-cut everything that I'm going to demonstrate with today, so you won't have to watch me run anything through the cut and emboss machine, but I will show you a couple of tips. So let's set that aside and quickly show you the card that I'm going to be demonstrating. And here it is. And see if I get that close enough that you can see there's a little bit of embossing on this layer right here. So this actually, looks like there's a lot going on, and it's actually much easier than it looks. So I can't wait to show you. Let's get started. And set these things aside. Oh, and I should mention that this bundle can be found on page 67 of the catalog. Oh, well, my camera's zoomed in too far. You're not going to be able to see it, but page 67. All right, let's get started. Our card base is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. So I'm just going to go ahead and use a bone folder to burnish or crease my fold. Give it a nice sharp crease. There we go. Then I have pre-cut all of my layers, and I will show you. I am using the deckled rectangle dies for my layers. So I have cut 2 out of Lost Lagoon. This is one of the colors that had previously been retired and is returning. I'm double checking, I believe it was, yep, the second to largest die is what I used for that. Then I have cut 2 layers of using basic white. This is the thin, so the card base is the basic white thick, and then the layers on top are the basic white. It's a lighter weight cardstock. For this layer, I used the third to largest die. Now set those aside, get them out of our way. Then I took one of these 2 and I ran it through the time-worn type embossing folder. Let's see if I can get a piece of colored cardstock and show you what that looks like so you can see. Now I have just done it in white for this card, but I have already run it through. So this is the time-worn type 3D embossing folder. All right, I'm gonna take a little sip of water. Y'all have allergies going on in your neck of the woods? I do. Okay, so this set here is going to be on my card front. This set is going to be my message liner on the inside of my card. So I'm going to set those aside. I don't need those right now. I have already, as I mentioned, embossed my white layer. So I am going to make sure it's going the right direction because there are some words on there. They're partial words, they're not full words. And I am going to adhere that to the matte layer. Don't need a ton, just need some spider webby little amount of glue there. I'm using the multi-purpose adhesive. That's what I like to use because it gives me time to wiggle everything into place. And there we are. And because this card has some layers to it, not a ton that are popped up, but I'm not going to pop up this on dimensionals. I'm going to adhere this flat to my card front. I just love this color combination. Lost Lagoon, and I'm bringing in a little bit of Pretty Peacock, which is another returning color as well. So again, don't need a ton, kind of just real thin. And I am centering that on the front of my card, making sure that my words are going the right direction. And let's see, I'm a little bit off. There we go. That's looking pretty good to me. All right. Then I have pre-die cut everything that's going on the front. But what I wanted to show you is before I did the die cutting, I used, so this is Lost Lagoon. I used Lost Lagoon ink with a blending brush. Excuse me. I'm just getting a little bit of ink on there, and I'm going to be cutting 2 of these larger dies, which I set aside. I am going to be cutting 2 of these dies, and so I just wanted to enhance the Lost Lagoon. I could have left it just the way it is, but I wanted to enhance it and make it even, not even all over the color, but I wanted to make it so that it looked like it had a little bit of shadowing to it. So I took a piece that was 2.5 inches by 8.5 inches. You could make it smaller if you wanted to measure it down. And I am getting kind of streaky here. I have already done this and die cut these pieces. I'm just showing you how I did it. So I went in and used a blending brush to apply some ink. And they don't need to be even from side to side. And then I ran this through the die cut machine, cut and emboss machine. And you can see there's going to be some light spots and some darker spots. So that's how I did that. And this is what I came up with. And if you see, they're just a little bit darker, but not much darker. So our matte layer is the Lost Lagoon, and then this die cut piece is just enhanced with tone on tone. And that's actually the only place I'm using Lost Lagoon ink on this card. Everything else will be stamped in Pretty Peacock. Okay. Set that aside. So now I've die cut these 2 pieces that I already mentioned. I stamped and die cut my thank you, and for that I used the stamp from the stamp set, and I used this smallest die, the smallest rectangle die. So what I do is I take my scrap of paper, I stamp on it, I center my die over the top of it, I use a piece of Post-it tape or a Post-it note to hold it in place, and then I run it through my cut and emboss machine, and that's how I get it all nice and centered. So I've got that piece ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and so this is really cool. Oops, it looks like I didn't I missed taking one of my knockouts out here. There we go. All right. So I'm going to apply a little bit of adhesive here and apply it to the back of this, and then I'm going to apply a little bit of adhesive here and apply it on the other side, and then we're going to embellish it from there. So just a thin layer, doesn't need to be big and goppy and gooky and any of that. Oops, dropped it. Here we go. And I am going to center this right over the top. I'm going to flip it over because I've used, ooh, it slid on me. because I have used the multi-purpose adhesive, I had a little bit of time. It's drying quickly on me now. All right, so can you see how pretty and lined up that is? See how easy that was to line up? So now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, but turning it the other direction. All right, so here we go. I'm just going to turn it over and see how straight I am. Make sure nothing's overlapping. I mean overlapping as extended beyond the white. So there is my initial layer or focal point for my card. And you know what? This would be just beautiful just like that. But I added some other things to it. So I used the coordinating die that has the leaves. I used that and die cut out some Pretty Peacock. And then I used this die and cut out some gold foil cardstock. So I've got those here. Can you see those? Yes, you can. They're right there. And so for the 6 Pretty Peacock, I took a piece that was 8.5 by 1.5, and I just ran each of them through individually. There's only one of these dies in there, so you literally have to do it one at a time. And this one shows 6 because my concept card, my sample card that I've already showed you, and then my other. So I think this was 1.5 by, I can't remember, like 3 inches. And I got several of my little accents. So now I am going to take my adhesive and I am just going to put just a little on the stem, just a real light little amount. Doing these one at a time. So, oops. This one, I'm gonna kind of fiddle in over here. And I laid this one on top of the Lost Lagoon. So this one was Pretty Peacock on top of Lost Lagoon. The next one, I'm gonna tuck it a little bit behind, etc., all the way around so that every other one is either on top or behind. And then I will input those little gold pieces. Now, my bow on this card is actually linen thread. I used the gold twine that we have, and to be honest, it didn't rock my world. It was too much gold. So I'm just putting this piece in here a little bit. Just giving it a little bit of depth. Going around and doing each one at a time. And there we go. Don't need hardly any adhesive on there, just a little bit. Okay, so this one, see, I'm doing a little better this time than I did last time. On this card, I put my dimensionals on the back of this first before I put on my Pretty Peacock. And it actually made it a little bit more difficult to apply those. So thankfully, I learned from my first one. So just a little bit. Yeah, you're going to hear me say that 6 times. Sorry. And there we go. So then this one is behind. And I'm liking that a lot. See how easy this is really quite easy. And they do have in this stamp set where you can stamp your image, and then they have the dies to die cut around the top. Let's see. Or cut the perimeter outline. I'm saying all the wrong things, sorry. Not all the wrong things, but there we go. I'm gonna hold that for just a second because it wiggled on me. And then one more. This card really goes together quite quickly, and it's got some really elegant element. Whoops, no, see, I did not say just a little bit, and I got some on my desk. All right. So now this one is going to go back here. Come on. All right. Now we're going to add these gold pieces. And up in this corner, I wanted two, and I wanted them to go in two different directions. And the only way to do that was to turn one of them upside down. So when I turn it upside down, there's just a piece of a little minuscule stem at the bottom, and I'm just trimming that off to make it look like the top of the flower or stem. So now I've got one that can go that direction and another one that can go this direction. And I'm using adhesive for these as well. So let's put the big one in first. Just need a little drop. And then I'm going to find my, I really kind of wanted this, let's see. Sorry, need my lead hand over here. I am going to stick this, let's see. I'm going to stick this over here, and then I'm going to find a way to flip it kind of to the front, not really, but kind of. So I've just stuck it over here, and then this one I'm going to stick going this direction. Look, that stuck to my finger and not to my project. And as that dries, then I'll be able to flip that, pull it forward in the leaves. So this one I'm going to use just a dot and a dot. And this is getting pulled forward. Oh, I got adhesive on the front of that leaf. Okay, that feels like it's holding. So let's see if I can maneuver this one a little bit forward. There we go. That's looking good to me. Then this one, I'm almost done building up my focal point. And then this one, I am going to stick right there. Just like that. Well, I have to ignore that now, don't I? All right. I don't know if you could hear my doorbell. My doorbell just went off, but I am not going to get it. So now I'm looking for my dimensionals. And I'm going to put those on the back. I'm just going to use 3, one in the center and one on each end. And then I am going to center this on my front. Then all that's left to add to the front is a ribbon. Oh, and some gems. So I like this kind of diagonal flow of my greenery. So there we go, there's that. Then I'm going to take my linen thread I'm going to double it. I'm going to tie, let's try that again. I'm going to tie a bow. I have a bow maker that I use frequently, but I didn't need it for this. I'm going to do that again because I got completely offset. Okay, one more time. Okay, and tighten up those loops. I'm still offset quite a bit, but that's okay. All right, that's good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut one of these the same length as one of the others on the other side, and there we go. So there's a short and a long on each side, and I'm just going to use a mini glue dot to attach that right there. I'm going to use the pointy tip on my Take Your Pick tool. I've grabbed a glue dot, and because the linen thread makes a pretty small knot, I'm actually going to ball up my little mini glue dot, and I'm going to attach it in that upper corner and apply the knot right on top of that glue dot, and there we go. Then I'm using the pastel adhesive backed sequins in the gold. I'm going to use the small ones to add my little bit of glimmer in here. I'm going to use the clay tip on the end of my Take Your Pick tool. And I'm going to put one here, one in here, whoops, and one down here. Come on, there we go. So now my decoration is on. So the front of the card is now done. Now I just need to decorate the inside of the card. So before I adhere these layers together, I want to stamp just a little bit. So on this one, this is what I did. It was okay. It wasn't my favorite thing that I've ever done. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to do what I did on the envelope, which was this. So again, with the pretty peacock, and I'm going to do that. And I'm going to do that. Oh, look at that though. I made a double image, so I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to do that again. I'm going to clean this off. I'm going to grab my chamois. And what I do after I finish stamping this, I'm going to stamp the envelope since I'm using the same color and the same stamp. I hope you're enjoying today's catalog launch party. So many wonderful demonstrators have been working to put together some really lovely samples for you. There we go. And I like to clean my stamps off right away after I use them, using my chamois. My chamois gets so nasty, but it rinses off real well. It's just never pretty again once you've started using it. I can put away my ink. And now I can adhere my message liner to my message liner matte layer. Wonderful thing about stamping, there's always two sides to your piece of paper. Let's see, let me get that wiggled into position here. That looks pretty good. Give that a little squish, add a little bit of adhesive to the back of the matte layer. And apply this to the inside of the card. And it's actually looking fairly straight. And my friends, we have created a timeless arrangement thank you card. Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you all so much. Enjoy the catalog lunch party. Bye-bye. Hugs.